Standard 6, Subject English, Unit 4.2, The Story of Gautam's Quest. Let us read and understand this lesson, the story of Gautam's quest. Gautam the Buddha was born over 2500 years ago as Prince Siddharth. He was the son of a king, Raja Shuddhodhan. He was born on the sacred day of Vaishak Purnima at Lumbini, situated near the city of Kapilavastu. 7 days after his birth, his mother Maya Devi passed away. It was prophesied at his birth that the infant would grow to be either a great Chakravarti, an emperor, or a sannyasi, a renunciate, who would bring comfort to thousands of lost souls. The king was determined to prevent his beloved son from renouncing the world. He surrounded the prince with every imaginable luxury and comfort. It is said that the king had 3 magnificent palaces, one for each season of the year. And in the beautiful atmosphere of these royal mansions, Prince Siddharth lived his secluded, protected life. Here in this paragraph, we learn about Gautam Buddha's birth. He was born over 2500 years ago as Prince Siddharth. He was born in BC 560 and died at the age of 80 in BC 480. He was the son of King or Raja Shuddhodhan. His mother was Maya Devi. Gautam Buddha or Prince Siddharth was born on the sacred day of Vaishak Purnima at Lumbini, situated near the city of Kapilavastu at the foot of Mount Palpa in the Himalayan ranges within Nepal. This city, Kapilavastu, stood on the bank of the river Rohini, some 100 miles northeast of the city of Varanasi. 7 days after his birth, his mother Maya Devi passed away, and Prince Siddharth was looked after by his mother's sister Mahaprajapati, who became Siddharth's foster mother. It was prophesied at his birth, or the astrologers had predicted, that the infant would grow to be either a great Chakravarti, an emperor, a universal monarch, or a sannyasi, a renunciate. The astrologers had predicted that he would renounce the world and bring comfort to thousands of lost souls. The king asked the astrologers what was it that would make his son renounce the world or retire from worldly pleasures. The astrologers said that Prince Siddharth would see 4 signs. The 4 signs would be, he would see an old man, a diseased man, a dead man, and a monk. And on seeing those 4 signs, he would retire from the world. The king was worried and was determined to prevent his beloved son from renouncing the world. He did not want his son to renounce or abandon worldly pleasures and become a monk or become a Buddha or an ascetic. He wanted him to be a sovereign ruler. He did not want him to renounce the world. Therefore, he surrounded the prince with every imaginable luxury and comfort. It is said that the king had 3 magnificent palaces, one for each season of the year. And in the beautiful atmosphere of those royal mansions, Prince Siddharth lived and he grew up. So he was given all the pleasures and comforts. He lived a secluded, protected life. Secluded is not seen or visited by many people. The king did not allow any persons to meet Siddharth because he was worried that if he would see any of those 4 signs, then he would retire from the world. Therefore, he gave him a protected life with all comforts and luxuries. Prince Siddharth lived a very secluded life, a sheltered life, because his father, King Shuddhodhan, did not want him to renounce the world. He wanted him to be a ruler. In good time, the prince was married to one of the most beautiful girls of the realm, Princess Yashodhara, the daughter of the Kolian king. Soon a son Rahul was born to them. At the age of 29, Siddhartha went out to see his kingdom and to meet his subjects. He beheld what the Buddhist books call the four signs, witnesses to the impermanence of the world. He saw an old man, a diseased man, a dead man, and a monk. And there entered into his heart a vision of dukkha, the world sorrow. What is the way out of the world's sorrow? He asked himself repeatedly. The unanswerable question led him to renounce worldly life, leave his wife and son, and set out in quest of the truth of life. We know that Prince Siddhartha, after he was born, the astrologers had predicted that he would either be a Chakravarti, that is, a universal monarch, or he would renounce the world after seeing the four signs. Prince Siddhartha's father, King Shuddhodana, thought that he might lose his precious son and tried his level best to make him attached to earthly objects, and he gave him all kinds of pleasures and comforts. He gave him a beautiful palace. He tried to keep him cheerful and happy. In particular, the king wanted to keep away from Siddhartha the four signs which would move him to enter into the ascetic life, or which would make him into a Buddha or turn him into a monk. From that time onwards, the king said that no persons should be allowed to come near his son, because he did not wish to see his son like an ascetic. He wanted his son to be a ruler. In good time, the prince was married to one of the most beautiful girls of the realm, Princess Yashodhara. She was the daughter of the Kolian king. Soon a son Rahul was born to them. But at the age of 29, Siddhartha went out to see his kingdom and to meet his subjects. He went along with his servant. He managed to get out of his palace, and he beheld, or he saw, what the Buddhist books call the four signs, or he saw the four signs which the astrologers had predicted. The four signs that he saw an old man, a diseased man, a dead man, and a monk. These are the four signs, the pictures of the four signs that Gautam Buddha saw, and he witnessed the impermanence of the world. And after seeing the four signs, a vision of dukkha, or world sorrow, entered into his heart. He felt that this worldly happiness is transitory. He felt that one day he too would fall prey to old age. He too would be attacked by a disease, and he would also die. So he wanted to find out a way out of this worldly sorrow. And he asked this question to himself repeatedly, but he found no answer, and that led him to renounce the worldly life. He left his wife and son and set out in a quest of the truth of life, because he felt that worldly happiness is transitory. All the luxuries and comforts of the world are absolutely worthless. Therefore, he set out in the quest of the truth of life. The story of Gautam's quest that ends in illumination and attainment of nirvana is one of the most moving tales of our times. For 6 years did Gautama practice intense asceticism. For several days in succession, he ate barely a grain of rice. His strong athletic body was reduced to a bag of bones, but it served no purpose. The Buddha then scattered a handful of grass on the ground beneath the Bodhi tree and formed a seat for himself. I care not if my skin and nerves and bones decay, he thought. I care not if my life blood dries. I shall not give up until I attain enlightenment. What divine willpower in these words! And what may not a man achieve if he would wake up his willpower? It is said that he saw a vision which contained a message for him. It acted as a spiritual stimulant to him. The words were, here in this paragraph, we learn that Gautam Buddha renounced worldly life. He left his wife and son and set out in the quest of the truth of life. He renounced the world after seeing the four signs. The four signs that he saw was an old man, a diseased man, a dead man, and a monk. And after seeing those four signs, a vision of dukh or world sorrow entered his heart, and he felt that worldly happiness is transitory. Nothing is permanent in the world. He too would fall prey to old age. He too would be attacked by disease. And therefore he wanted to find out a way out of world sorrow. So he renounces the world in the quest of the truth of life. And that quest ends in the attainment of his nirvana. After Gautam Buddha renounced the world, he practiced intense asceticism for 6 years. He practiced yoga, he did pranayam. Pranayam is control of the breath. And for several days in succession, he ate barely a grain of rice. His strong athletic body was reduced to a bag of bones. He had become into a skeleton. But it served no purpose. His quest of the truth of life was still incomplete. Then Buddha scattered a handful of grass on the ground beneath the Bodhi tree. This is the Bodhi tree, and he formed a seat for himself. He sat in deep meditation, and he tells himself that he does not care if his skin, nerves, and bones decay. He does not care if his blood dries up, but he will not give up until and unless he attains enlightenment or nirvana. Truly, there was divine willpower in these words, and man can achieve a lot if he would wake up his willpower. It is said that Gautam Buddha saw a vision. The vision was of some dancing girls passing that way. They were singing joyfully as they played their guitar. Buddha heard their song and found real help in it. The song the girls sang had no real deep meaning for them, but for Buddha it was a message full of profound spiritual significance. It was a spiritual stimulant to him, or it was a spiritual pick me up to take him out of his despair and infuse power, strength, and courage. Tune the sitar neither low nor high, the string overstretched breaks and the music dies. The string overslack is dumb and the music dies. He thought to himself, I too have tortured my body to starvation. I have taken to extremes. Let me follow the middle path. When he tried to get up to take a bath in the river, he found that he had become so weak that he could not rise. Just then a beautiful girl named Sujata appeared before him, carrying a golden bowl filled with sweetened milk and rice. When she saw the weakened ascetic, she offered the bowl at his feet. Lord, please accept my offering of milk and rice. Buddha accepted her offering. This was his first meal after many days of starvation. It refreshed him and infused a new strength in him. He realized that making the body suffer was not the way to enlightenment and truth. Gautam had longed for enlightenment. That night he found the answer to his query. What is the cause of sorrow? The cause of sorrow is desire. The cure for sorrow is to give up all desires and adopt right living. Born under a tree, the Buddha received illumination also under a tree. To this day, we venerate this tree as the Bodhi tree. Here in this paragraph, we learn that these were the words of the song that the girls who were dancing, sang, and these words were a spiritual stimulant to Lord Buddha. The words of the song tune the sitar neither low nor high, the string overstretched breaks and the music dies, the string overslack is dumb and the music dies. That is, if you tune the sitar too high, or it is the string is too tight, then the music dies. It is not possible to get the right tune. And if the string is over slack or it is too low, then too the music dies. So this was a spiritual stimulant to Lord Buddha, and he thought to himself that he had tortured his body to starvation, he had taken to extremes, and yet he had not attained nirvana or enlightenment. So he decided to follow the middle path. Gautam Buddha had turned so weak that he could not rise. Just then, a beautiful girl named Sujata appeared before him carrying a bowl filled with sweetened milk and rice. And when she saw this weak monk or ascetic, she offered the bowl at his feet. And she tells Lord Buddha to accept her offering of milk and rice. Buddha accepted her offering, and that was his first meal after many days of starvation. It refreshed him and infused new strength in him. He realized that making the body suffer was not the way to enlightenment and truth. We know that Gautam Buddha longed for enlightenment or nirvana, and that night he found the answer to his question: what is the cause of sorrow? He got the answer to this question. The cause of sorrow is desire, and the cure for sorrow is to give up all desires. When we have no desires, then we will not be sorrowful, and to adopt right living. There are certain teachings of Buddha, the 5 precepts, the eightfold path, or right living. You can read more about Gautam Buddha's teachings. Gautam Buddha received enlightenment or nirvana under the Bodhi tree, and to this day, this Bodhi tree is venerated by the Buddhists, because it was under this tree that Gautam Buddha received enlightenment or nirvana.